Spain is investigating the causes behind a massive blackout that plunged much of the Iberian Peninsula into darkness, with millions left without power, internet or phone service. As the country gradually returns to normal, authorities are now exploring the possibility of sabotage. The massive blackout on Monday disrupted Spain, Portugal and parts of France. Metro services were halted, traffic lights failed and businesses closed. Many passengers waited at the central station. Power was mostly restored by Tuesday, but the cause remains unclear. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has ordered a full investigation, while the country's top criminal court is probing potential sabotage of critical infrastructure. Grid operators in Spain and Portugal have ruled out a cyber attack, stating there were no breaches in control systems. And to shed light on the cause and impact of the blackout is Deutsche Welle correspondent Emily Leshner joining us from Berlin. Emily, what do we know so far?
Well, we know that millions of people were left without power because 15 gigawatts of electricity disappeared from Spain's energy grid. That's about the equivalent of the electricity that's generated from 7 to 8 nuclear power plants, or around 60% of the country's energy supply. And so what that meant was that hospitals had to use generators to allow life-saving equipment to continue operating. It also meant that credit card transactions didn't work, leaving summer travelers stranded because they didn't have the ability to pay or check into their hotels. Transportation also came to a screeching halt because traffic lights were down, trains had stopped, many commuters were stuck. Mobile networks were also down, so people couldn't check in on friends and family. It impacted just about every aspect of daily life, causing a bit of fear and chaos. And as you mentioned, the event spurred lots of rumors of a possible cyber attack, which at this point Spanish authorities and representative of Spain's national energy grid say they have ruled out. But they're still trying to figure out why the sudden loss of power as the rest of the country tries to bounce back from what was a very disruptive event.
Emily, has this happened to other EU countries in the past?
It has, but not on this scale. There was a power outage that affected about 10 million people in northwestern Germany a little over 20 years ago, or less than 20 years ago, sorry. And the cause was an overloaded grid. That was the same reason for a blackout that impacted around 50 million Italians just a few years prior. And it's really the scale of this one, which incapacitated an entire country and parts of 2 others, that highlights how reliant we are on our energy grids and thus how vulnerable we have become because of this reliance. So there have been blackouts in the future on much smaller scales, but never one like the one we saw in Spain and then parts of Portugal and France.
Emily Leshner reporting from Berlin.